I didn't like Payback. I thought the show sucked. I was hoping that Raw was going to be better. And at least, if nothing else, set the table for Money in the Bank and what else is there? Battleground, and then maybe even SummerSlam. You know, that we were going to get a good show tonight. That's what I was hoping for. No real reason to hope for it other than just wanting to hope for it. Now, some Raws are good or really good. Some Raws are bad and really bad. But sometimes even those bad or really bad Raws can be a lot of fun to talk about. But this Raw didn't fit into that category. This Raw felt like the worst thing of all. 3+ hours of my life wasted that I sadly will never get back. And that's the truth of it. And having a surprising or shocking finish after over 3 hours of crap doesn't save this show. Make no mistake about it. This week's Raw was crap. You know when you kick off a Raw with an Orton, a Batista, and a Triple H in the ring, and there are microphones present, you're going to get something that could potentially be awesome. Think about it. The egos, the politicking, the praising themselves, putting each other down, putting others down, burying others on the microphone, little snide, cheap, snarky comments. All of this crap is the magnificence and the splendor of what you can expect from an Evolution promo segment. And you did get that here. But unfortunately, it led to Batista quitting the WWE. No! Batista good. Batista give us something to talk about. Batista don't need to go promote Guardians of Galaxy. Blue Tista, hashtag Bald Tista, needs to stay his ass right here on television on Raw each and every single week, damn it. This is ridiculous. When one of the backstage reporters, whatever the fuck his name is, caught up with Batista to get his thoughts, Batista talked about the fact that, you know, when he came in, he was promised a bunch of things, and everything that's happened has been a bunch of crap. All the promises ended up turning out to be big lies, and everything's been crap. And who could freaking blame him? He was brought in to win the Royal Rumble and win the belt at WrestleMania 30. They were all lies, and it's crap. And he's been sitting there jobbing out to people and actually helping out young talents. And how dare the WWE ask him to do that? They don't have the same crap with John Cena, so why should Batista do that? And he's right. It is a bunch of crap. Who could blame him for wanting to get away for a couple months and quitting? One thing that seemed to have been the case for RVD for years, especially during his time in TNA, is that even when you do miraculously finally get the opportunity to go over him, you always feel like you know he's going to end up getting it back, and that's the only reason it ever happened. In this opening tag match, same fucking thing here. And what really pisses me off about this is the fact that an RVD would be so cavalier and so disrespectful in the way he pinned somebody like a Wade Barrett. You know, I believe when Wade Barrett beat him at Payback on Sunday night, Wade Barrett hooked the legs, you know, presenting it as, you know, he had to go to this length in order to beat the guy. RVD doesn't show that same type of courtesy and respect to other individuals and performers. He sits there and hits a 5-star frog splash on Wade Barrett and just lays out on top of him and doesn't hook the legs. RVD, you fucking jerk. It's not about you anymore. Start putting over other people. And the fact that they had him pin Wade Barrett here, fuck the WWE for that shit. You know what it was? It was crap. In case you missed it earlier in the review, Batista at the beginning of the show wanted what Triple H had promised to him, and Triple H said, you're not going to get it right now, and Batista did what he felt was right, and he decided to quit the WWE, pick up his ball, and go home. And frankly, who could blame him? A lot of empty promises, a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies, and frankly, a lot of crap. So with Lance Stevenson making an appearance on Raw, I thought it was only appropriate that me, No Tippin' Scottie Pippen, made an appearance on this Raw review. Now, unlike a Lance Stevenson who actually needs to try and show off and showcase whatever skills he may or may not have that don't involve getting a bunch of memes done about blowing in LeBron's ear, everybody knows how No Tippin' Scottie Pippen rolls. And we know that we don't need any demonstrations of my vast skills. My Hall of Fame plaque will do all the talking for you, as will my 6 championship rings. But who I really feel bad for is the WWE locker room and roster and personnel for having to be in Indiana. What a suckfest of a place to be. What a place of losers. Think about this. This is a state that reveres Larry Canary to this day. A guy that when he played at Indiana State and all the chips were on the line, he came up just a little short against Magic Johnson in Michigan State. He had to go to Boston. He had to go to the East Coast. He had to go somewhere else to taste any championship success, which is so often the case with teams in the state of Indiana. Remember how this year the Indiana Pacers were supposed to be able to overcome the Miami Heat and go on to perhaps even win the NBA championship? Well, Indianapolis, tell me how LeBron's nuts taste. Remember back in '98 when you faced off against me and Michael and the rest of my Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals? You got to Game 7, you got this close, but you fell just a little bit short. Remember the 2000 season, you made it to the NBA Finals, you managed to face Kobe and Shaq and the Lakers? You got there, and then you fell just a little bit short, just like you did again this season. Sad. It's really sad. And what's even more sad is the history of losing tradition in the great state of Indiana doesn't stop there. Look at the Indianapolis Colts, a team that for so many years under Peyton Manning would do all these great things in the regular season. Then come playoff time, they would come up just a teensy bit short, or more often than not, more than just a little bit short, thanks in large part to the choking of their roster and Peyton Manning in particular. Oh, and you might say, well, what about the 2006 season? What about Super Bowl 41? Let's get realistic here. The only reason you won that Super Bowl was because of the city of Chicago. You beat Rex Grossman. Rex Grossman gave it to you. Rex Grossman should have a statue erected outside of Lucas Oil Stadium, and that is a fact. How's it been since then? Oh, that's right. When your Colts sat there and faced off against a real quarterback at Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints, and a few years later, you got your shit pushed in. Peyton Manning got rocked, which is the history and proud tradition of the great state of Indiana. Unfortunately, it is also the history and the great tradition of the WWE to take potentially interesting and compelling characters and completely fucking ruin them. See, having Damian Sandow come out as Lance Stevenson here. This was dumb. This was ridiculous. The only thing more ridiculous was the appearance, of course, of the Big Show, who clearly was a fan of Patrick Ewing in Georgetown back in the day because he had a suitcase packed because he was going traveling. A firm believer in the Georgetown Gallop. 4 to 5 steps, a couple of switches of the pivot foot, a jump stop, a couple of shot fakes, and then you throw it up like nothing happened. That's kind of like today's NBA. I'm sorry, Indiana. I'm sorry for Damian Sandow. I'm sorry for the WWE roster for having to be in that great state of yours. Ugh. Nothing great about Indiana, is there? Is there? No. In case you missed it earlier in the review, Batista at the beginning of the show wanted what Triple H had promised to him, and Triple H said, you're not going to get it right now, and Batista did what he felt was right, and he decided to quit the WWE, pick up his ball, and go home. And frankly, who could blame him? A lot of empty promises, a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies, and frankly, a lot of crap. Mark is smart here, and let me tell you something. First of all, Seth Rollins is awesome. I didn't see it coming. That was definitely a 4.5-star heel turn if I've ever seen one, because Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, is one of the best motherfucker wrestlers in the world. But even with that being said, he is no Daniel Bryan, who we all know to be the one true, undisputed, best motherfucker wrestler in the world. And what I don't get here, and what really just chaps my ass, is the fact that Stephanie McMahon would come out here, and she starts running down Daniel Bryan, and she sets this up to where either he has to defend his title against Kane in a stretcher match at Money in the Bank, or they're going to strip Daniel Bryan of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. How ridiculous is this? How many days again was it between U.S. title defenses for Dean Ambrose? Why can't Daniel Bryan get the Dean Ambrose rule in his favor? This is ridiculous. This is bullshit. Clearly height discrimination and borderline beard racism practiced by Stephanie McMahon and all the WWE against one Daniel motherfucking Bryan. But what pisses me off even more is that instead of allowing Daniel Bryan to appear, and instead of giving Daniel Bryan a chance to go at Stephanie McMahon and defend himself and defend the good name of his wife, instead here comes John Cena. Yeah, John Cena talking about Daniel Bryan is afraid that he's going to be stripped of the title. If he gives it up, he's not going to get a chance. Well, let me tell you something, you fruity pebble bitch.
Daniel Bryan fears no man. Last time I checked, he beat you fair and square at SummerSlam 2013. Daniel Bryan is the hashtag Breakfast Club killer. Daniel Bryan is the best motherfucker wrestler in the world. And the last thing he needs is a John Cena fucking sitting there and trying to suck any of the love, any of the admiration of the fans away from Daniel Bryan onto John Cena. It's not going to work. It's going to blow up in your face. And oh, imagine that. John Cena not only behind the scenes, but on camera is trying to position himself for a future WWE World Heavyweight Championship reign. Oh, let me get my vomit bag. No time. Fuck you, Stephanie McMahon. And I still maintain that you did shart yourself, or piss yourself at the very least. Oh, optical illusions in the dress. Shut up. And as far as John Cena goes, you don't want none of this. You don't need any of this. Because what happened before will happen again, and this time there will be no excuses. Daniel Bryan will kick your ass 6 ways from Sunday, because again, he is the best motherfucker wrestler in the world.
In case you missed it earlier in the review, Batista at the beginning of the show wanted what Triple H had promised to him, and Triple H said, "You're not going to get it right now," and Batista did what he felt was right, and he decided to quit the WWE, pick up his ball, and go home. And frankly, who could blame him? A lot of empty promises, a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies, and frankly, a lot of crap. Do you believe? Do I believe? Bo Dallas, Kofi Kingston, the pay-per-view match we didn't get at Payback on Sunday. We got it here on Raw. Whoopity-doo! I love the thought of Bo Dallas kind of being this unintentional, corny-ass, lame-ass, heel parody character. I absolutely love it. They need to go farther with this. They need to do more with this. Will they, though? No, they'll probably end up burying him on Superstars in a month or two.
For all of you praising the Shield, just remember they won the battle, not the war. Evolution still has Triple H and a certain Randall Keith Orton. Evolution will adapt, while the Shield will surely perish. Randall Keith Orton still needs his title rematch FTW for the win. Yay! Yay!
In case you missed it earlier in the review, Batista at the beginning of the show wanted what Triple H had promised to him, and Triple H said, "You're not going to get it right now," and Batista did what he felt was right, and he decided to quit the WWE, pick up his ball, and go home. And frankly, who could blame him? A lot of empty promises, a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies, and frankly, a lot of crap. I think the real reason that Stephanie McMahon booked Nikki Bella in a 2-on-1 handicap match against Oksana and Alicia Fox is not because she was talking about how she wished Brie was there. It's not because of any of that. It's because of the fact maybe that Stephanie is a little bit jealous that she's not the only one with fake tatas. That maybe Nikki Bella's boobies have helped her in her positioning and gotten her somewhere in the WWE. It's just a thought. It was kind of funny here. You know, where's Paige? Don't know. Alicia Fox. Entertain me again. Put the belt on Alicia Fox, damn it! One of my disappointments with Payback was I thought we were going to get Adam Rose versus Jack Swagger on the show. We didn't. So, of course, we got it here. Adam Rose won. As he should have. Come on, Jackie, baby. Come on, Zebby, baby. Don't be lemons. Be rosebuds. I will give credit to the Usos and Rowan and Harper. They tried to go out there and maximize their time. They tried to go out there and bust their ass and not be kind of swallowed up by the muck of the abyss of the suck that was this show. I'll give them credit for that. And I'm also pleased to see Rowan actually get the pinfall victory here. And, you know, at least they are following up on this and making this a tag team title feud, you would assume, especially with Rowan and Harper getting a non-title clean victory over the babyface champions, you know, actually giving the heels, so to speak, in this case, a reason to get some heat because they beat the babyfaces. Now you might actually want to get behind the Usos a little bit more. But again, you know, it was like this one thing of semi-optimism surrounded by 3 hours of largely suck. And it just kind of got sucked up in it as well. And I found myself sadly really just not caring about this match all that much and really not that interested in it. In case you missed it earlier in the review, Batista at the beginning of the show wanted what Triple H had promised to him, and Triple H said, "You're not going to get it right now." And Batista did what he felt was right, and he decided to quit the WWE, pick up his ball, and go home. And frankly, who could blame him? A lot of empty promises, a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies, and frankly, a lot of crap. I get that the WWE needs a Mexican superstar. I get that Rey Mysterio can't really perform at a high level anymore, and I understand that Sin Cara has been a pretty epic flop, and they don't have a lot else going in that category. But this Money in the Bank qualifying match, at least they had one on the show, something that ties into the pay-per-view, a qualifying match. I tend to like those. And while I'm not the biggest Ziggler fan by any stretch of the imagination, even I have to sit there and say, what the fuck is the thought process here? I wish the black wrestlers in WWE could get the type of treatment that the Hispanic wrestlers in WWE get, in particular somebody like an ADR, who has been pounded and pushed down our throats for years to no real results at all. Royal Rumble winner, Money in the Bank winner, multiple-time world champion, and people don't give a fuck. They don't care. He doesn't get a reaction 4 years later. And yet they're still pushing this fucking guy. And to me, if I'm constructing a Money in the Bank ladder match, I would think I would need that one guy to fill that traditional Shelton Benjamin role of being the guy, as Tony used to say, that would give you the 2 or 3 oh shit moments to really make the match happen, but not really be a tangible threat to win it other than giving you one hope spot. And he's right. And that's what should have happened here. ADR is not winning it. So if that's the case, look at it from the standpoint of who is more likely to help get that Money in the Bank match over? Who's more likely to make that Money in the Bank match really work? It was Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't really care about the guy that much. I'm not really a fan of his at all. But even I can say this time, that I completely understand why the internet exploded about this. Because it's ridiculous. Because it makes me explode too. Why can't the black wrestlers get the treatment that a fucking ADR does? A guy that gets no reaction, that's been pushed to the moon forever, and still is getting pushed. Just to give you the idea of what type of night this was for me watching Raw. When they were talking about Cody picking a new tag team partner for Goldust, I was hoping and praying and wishing for one night only maybe the return of Book Dust. I was hoping Booker T was going to be the partner. Instead, we got Sin Cara. Of all the people in the entire locker room that Cody Rhodes could have chosen for his brother, he chose Sin Cara. So not only is Cody Rhodes losing confidence in his skills and feeling that his brother needs a better tag team partner, apparently Cody Rhodes is also a moron. Like I said, this just perfectly crystallizes and embodies what this show was all about. Frankly, I don't even know what to make of that Rusev Award segment. He got the highest civilian honor for beating Big E? Oh, like I said, again, this just felt like another showcase piece for Lana. Her talking about Edward Snowden, who seemed to be the only one to get any real heat out of this whole segment. And then, of course, talking about Vladimir Putin, who got a little heat on himself. So instead of getting heat on Lana and hopefully Rusev, they instead decided to get heat on Edward Snowden and Vladimir Putin, 2 people that weren't there. They're following the Umaga trajectory on this. That's what they're supposed to be doing with this push. Let's hope it doesn't descend down the same path that Umaga's push eventually did, leading to a burial. Ooh. Yeah, sorry guys, too soon. Yeah, it was one of those type of nights. And oh, by the way, Rusev's flag waving, I don't know who thinks that's a good idea, but it is very special, to say the least. Almost a certain type of Olympic worthy. So let me get this straight. Somebody in the WWE creative process, I don't know if this was at the very top with Vince or if it was Steph and Triple H, Kevin Dunn, whoever the fuck it was. Somebody thought it would be a good idea to follow up Payback by not having your two most interesting, compelling, and over characters in your company right now in Daniel Bryan, your WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and Bray Wyatt appear on this week's show. Somebody thought that was a good fucking idea. Instead of having Daniel Bryan appear, and instead of trying to do something interesting with Daniel Bryan and maximizing on what he can do, maybe in terms of the mic work and in terms of actually getting the crowd engaged in the show and finding creative ways to get him involved, you decide to not book him for anything on this entire fucking show. Instead, you decide to have John Cena stick up for him, and that goes over like a fart in fucking church. Why is John Cena sitting there and defending him? And furthermore, the whole thing about Stephanie that Marcus Smart was talking about earlier. You know, if my thing is that from a logic standpoint, then if Daniel Bryan can't defend his title, then it gets put on the line in the Money in the Bank match. Shouldn't everybody that gets involved in that Money in the Bank match have an interest now in wiping out Daniel Bryan and making sure he can't defend the belt? And they've made it so bad where once they presented that option, it seemed like almost everybody was more interested and compelled with that second option. It's like the WWE did that on purpose. They want you to not want a Kane versus Daniel Bryan match. They want you to want him to lose the title and have it be vacant so that way they can do what the fuck they really want to do with that belt. Probably have somebody like John Cena or fucking Brock Lesnar win the Money in the Bank briefcase. And for all the people to come out, instead of Daniel Bryan to defend himself, they have John Cena come out. Believe me, there was a fucking reason for that. There sure as hell was a fucking reason for that. And we know it's coming. And then not to have Bray Wyatt appear. Oh, to sell what happened. He's going to be on fucking SmackDown, so what the fuck difference does it make? No wonder this show sucked so bad. You took the two most interesting performers on your product right now on your entire roster and decided to give them the fucking night off. In case you missed it earlier in the review, Batista at the beginning of the show wanted what Triple H had promised to him, and Triple H said, "You're not going to get it right now," and Batista did what he felt was right, and he decided to quit the WWE, pick up his ball, and go home. And frankly, who could blame him? A lot of empty promises, a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies, and frankly, a lot of crap.
Roman, I know you have a boo-boo right now, but it's okay. You'll be able to overcome it. You're still the sexiest man in WWE. Oh, the muscles, oh, the hair, and you look so vulnerable right now. I could just eat you up. It'll be okay, Roman, don't you worry. At WrestleMania 31, you'll be leaving the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and everybody else will be asking, whatever happened to Seth Rollins? That's right. Hell yeah, bitches. Roman, love yous.
I knew something was up with the main event, so I actually did watch this week because I had a feeling I might not fully know what was coming. I thought with the way they were talking about Batista quitting all throughout the night and they kept showing it over and over and over again, I thought maybe A, they were doing it because they were going to sit there and have Batista return and they were just going to steamroll through the Shield, or B, something else was going to happen, a new member of Evolution in some way, shape, or form. I actually wanted to see it. So even with the 3 hours of crap that we got, you get to this Randy Orton Roman Reigns main event, they actually had me wanting to see what happened. And that's where they went with it. Now, here's the thing. In terms of my full thoughts on Seth Rollins turning on the Shield and aligning himself with Evolution, I'll be doing a separate video about that because I feel it justifies it. In terms of the concept of the Shield breaking up, it was going to have to happen at some point. And I know a lot of people are sitting there and saying they feel maybe it should have been Ambrose, and Ambrose would have been better suited, or they could have maybe even argued with Reigns, taking over that muscle kind of powerhouse place of a Batista. But some people also are arguing that, Rollins needed it the most, and, you sit there with a Seth Rollins and you gave us something we really didn't see coming, something that was a very big surprise. It was a surprise. Again, whipping out your cock on camera or dropping your trowels and taking a shit in the ring is a big surprise too. Doesn't make it a good surprise. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this was a bad surprise either. it felt like something that really wasn't planned out. There really wasn't a lot of mapping out of this. It was like it was a last minute decision. This is what we're going to do, and we'll figure it out as we go. That's how it came across to me, and that's how it felt to me. Like I said, in terms of other thoughts about this, you'll just have to tune in to the video that I do about this topic very, very soon. I saw a comparison on Twitter with this show to the Viewer's Choice edition of Raw in 2010, where it was largely a crappy show, but then you had the Nexus at the end, and that was all anybody talked about. And there are some similarities here. But that Nexus finishing segment was so much better than what we got here with Seth Rollins turning on the Shield. I'm just calling it as I see it. And the sad thing about this is, to me, is as bad as this 3 hours of Raw was leading up to this moment, how many fans did they turn away from that 3 hours of crap where they missed what happened at the end? Imagine how much better this would have come across, how much better this would have felt, how much more people would really be buzzing and be excited about it if the show would have been better. It's that simple. The show sucked. And saving this for the very end almost did it a disservice. You know, this is something that should be a big deal. This is something that should really have the social media world buzzing. And maybe to a degree it slightly is, but it's not buzzing to the degree that it should be because, again, frankly, a lot of people probably tuned out Raw by that point in time when you got to the end. Come on, WWE, get your shit together. Give us a better fucking show. A lot of people now are going to be very curious to see what they do with Seth Rollins being a part of Evolution come next week. Frankly, I am too, and some people will say, well, that means they did their job and mission accomplished and all of that hot garbage. Well, if the mission statement was to bore the brakes off of us for 3+ fucking hours and give us a couple of minutes of something interesting and compelling, and then I guess for WWE, mission accomplished. What a crap show this week.